Hi, this video is to explain my build. Just a disclaimer, I am no expert in any means. This is my first league and I just want to share how my build works. It's actually inspired with I'm just Anthony and RaizQT's build. I'll link it to the comment or description maybe to their YouTube videos. So this is a blood mage that uses the Atalui's basic core and it uses elemental weakness to trigger cast on critical and spell slinger, uh, which has common skills inside. So the thing with this build is it's using tech rod as well, but this build is still has those standard elemental resistances, which is 75. And then for and because it's cast and critical, we want I managed to fit in 100% critical hit chance as well. And then Rarity, which is 150, which is I think the standard now, or yeah. And still the DPS Comet cast on critical is 1.1 M DPS. Because I slotted here the Talui. Most of the other builds I think is they use because multiple you can see they're spamming multiple comments, but on my build I prefer fewer comments but higher DPS. Actually, I think Frostbolt is better, I think, but the thing is that's why I look for another option because I'm lagging using Frostbolt. Then I come up with the RaizQT's videos of concept of Doedres undoing to slot on the curses. That's why I preferred using these curses to trigger the cast and critical comment. The spell slinger is like optional, but it's like a failsafe if you need something to kill right away. But I just slotted spell slinger as well. So starting with my skill gems, I use skill remnants and then harmonic, remnant potency, and mysticism 2. Mysticism 2 is like just an extra damage. It's 30 spirit. Also, there's also mysticism here in mana remnants, which is another 15. So it's 45, but basically you can start the build around 151 spirit depending on your gear. So for the spell slinger, I just put comet, boundless to energy, efficiency 2, and life tap because I'm very far from the one that converts skills to life, then you have no mana. Because I'm using also as mana as extra layer of HP. Just the thing with spell slinger and cast on critical is to check the actual cost so you can build around your life if it's possible to cast them. For example, what I'm doing usually is I slotted out the comment to check their cost. For example, I put efficiency 2 and life tap. So you can and then I'll just look in here. It says cost 1 for 1 life, so meaning I can cast it because it's within my life. Just the thing to check. So you can actually cast the spells, and then for this you can slot it. Just find the similar cost. For example, the cost multiplier is 115%. I'll just find another gem that costs similar. Usually, for example, 115, it's cast considered casting, I believe. It's 115, just to demonstrate. So it's 115 cost multiplier. So I'll slot here and I'm similar 115. Of course, the damage not the same because it's a different gem, but the cost you will have the same, which is 1631. That's the actual cost. So it's within my life, max life, so I can cast this on a spell slinger. So for the one on the sigil of power, just your standard chiming stuff, just for extra buff. Usually for pausing. So magnified area, prolonged duration, rapid casting, and second wind 3. And that way it works. I'm not sure about this, but it's mostly for buffing. For the actual cast on critical, so let me just test the cost again. So let's land the comment here. And then embiter, because I want still my comment to be called damage after the lowest physical bonus. I'm using efficiency here because, for example, let's check. So basically it's just like 1M because I'm just using considered because it was the same cost with the boundless energy. So I can check the actual price of the cost kill. So for this one it says like 2940. So that's within my spectrum of life. It's 2974. So always check that if it's all within, because if I didn't put the efficiency to here, then I can't cast it on cast on critical. It won't activate because it will be costing for 899. So that's why I'm slotting efficiency. That's why it's you can see it's the level 35. So you must also consider that if you are putting spell levels to your wands, etc. Consider the cost. The same way I'm not using rat pits as well because it will increase the cost. And then I need to match it with my max life to be higher. Of course, it will have a higher DPS, but in this case, I need it to be concise on every part. So just think to check. That's why maybe sometimes you are considering why my cast and criticals are not casting while I can cast my spell sling. I always check the life cost if it's in terms of life or mana. Oh yeah. Then always don't forget to activate as well. I always forget that sometimes. When I'm moving stuff and I forget to cast them, I wonder why I'm not activating my cast and critical. Mana Remnants is also an ideal one because I believe you're in the skill tree. There's the thing that make your mana as life as part of your life as well. So this is a good one to sustain an extra layer of defense. Then it's a harmonic remnants, efficiency and mysticism. Again, mysticism is for another damage boost. Now for the elemental weakness that actually triggers the cast and critical, it's the Doedre. I don't know how to pronounce it. Doedre's Undoing. The thing with Doedre's is usually they're using forget the spell. It's not elemental weakness, it's the violet curse one that reduces the chaos. I think it's this despair, yeah. The reasoning why I didn't use despair is because the damage enough is for clearing mobs in mobs is already enough for what you call dark design. The dark design damage enough to kill the mobs. This is thing for only thing for bosses because I'm using basically cold skills for the comment. That's my big damage for coming from for bossing. So why not use elemental weakness to apply elemental reduction on the while bossing. So yeah, but despair would work, but for me I think it's alright, especially for bossing because I'm using cold spell. And then magnified area, focus course to 50% delay because I know there's a boots that makes the curse instant, but I think this focus course already works good already. It has good activation time and yeah, and then spell cascade to have these multiple rates, and then life tap to make it on your mage. Then last one is the Arctic armor for another layer of defense. It's like a back damage while if you're being hit by a melee. So it's good to have. So I'm bitter to make it cold. This one is to freeze the ones that able to hit you. Then more freeze build up just for extra levels, and Zenith for just for a higher damage. So, yeah. So the thing with also this one is the life generation. So you can see I still have decent life recovery. The one stack. But the other thing is that makes this builds worse is this gloves, which makes the Lich from critical hit is instant. So we're running a critical setup, so every time we will having a skill, the Lich will be instant as a layer of sustain. That's why we could run the life recovery, less life recovery mods with this setup because of these gloves. And still because we still have this good layer of life recovery still. That's why in the note is I've tested it on my end. To have a sustainable life recovery, I need this 25 per this 25% life recovery generating another 10%. Anything lower feels like much lower and it's not sustaining it if you're spamming one. This fewer skill is needed and it will be sustainable. Yeah. So the next thing is the gears. So just my one, the standard plus 5 cold spell, plus 2 level all spells. It's just balls if you can afford it. Then always check. Of course, I said check the cost of the spells, of your life cost of the spells. If you can afford it actually. So always check those because there's another one spell level in the skill tree. So it's always good thing to check the life cost of your spells. So here the another important thing is the critical chance, of course, and the cast speed. Other else are just to scale up your damage. But you want as much as possible to have your critical chance. And then the head is just to have energy shield. It's where I stack my rarity, my resistance. That's the challenging part here to balance all stuff like your resistances, your rarity, your hit chance. Because if you change one gear, other gears you need to change as well. And also, as you was in the runes, I using here max life because I changes my skill tree into expecting into all intelligence passive skill because I forgot to mention that Doedres undoing is scaled on your intelligence. So just like my intelligence is at 275. That's why I needed the gems. It's good to have here energy shield normally, but I needed to have this extra 80 life because I need those to catch up with the cost kills of my spells. But in this part of Envirop, I retain the increased energy shield because there's a node in your skill tree that in your transcendency that that makes your energy shield equip on your body armor as your life as well. So it can stay. So for the chest, just find the high energy shield and then spirit, then resistances. As I mentioned a while ago, 151 spirit you can start because the core value, the core skills here is the cast on critical, and then the mana remnants. The next thing is Arctic armor, and then the rest is just the mysticism, just for extra layer of damage. As I mentioned a while ago, for the mids, it has built-in critical chance, then Lich from critical hits is instant. That's why you can build your life faster and it overshoots. That's why you can cast multiple skills because every time you hit, it crits, it will goes back into your life pool. And then another core here is on the stem stellar and amulet as well. Allocates fast metabolism. So what it makes works the life instant because the life leech effect are not removed when unreserved life is filled. So even though you fill your life, your life leech is still there. So that's why we will have big amounts of HP that will let you cast spam spells and then spam your spell slinger and spam your casted critical. Then moving on the amulet, yeah, it has spirit. I put as rarity all spell cast speed. I just use increase maximum life here because yeah, again, once again I needed life to cast my spells. At the same time, other thing like rarity. Rarity really makes this build harder if you want to optimize things because you need to fill in every gaps for the rarity. For the focus, it has the critical hit chance again. Again, I did not use route fit because it will scale up again the cost, although it will scale up damage, but uh, I'm just have also minimal life as well. But I want to still fit in all the resistances uh, and rarity because if I need usually if I'm using route fit, I need to use the helm that gives a lot of life but trades the resistances. So I just keep it that way because the build still works and mostly cleared most of the maps that I'm been on. I'm using T16 full daily and still clears the map. And for this one, yeah, crit chance again, then spell levels. You may want energy shield. Have area effect that's not necessary. Cast speed will be nice. Again, I use here I think for this one it's resistances just to fit in the 75 cap. For the rings, again, just for rarity, I use 43%, the rest are triple resistances. Sa pairing is good because it has implicit cold resistance, then another 2. So you can fit 40% above item rarity. So another 85 maximum life. The last mod could be better, but it stays for now. The other thing uses the same concept. Triple resistance and 40% plus rarity. So the what a good thing is you can also use modifiers on what you need. For example, I needed few extra points for cold resistance. You can use cold modifiers, quality boost, so I can have extra cold resistance. Here, I don't need cold resistance anymore. That's why I slotted their quality of quality life modifier. For the boots, I'm using just movement speed. This is my old boots prior to my initial blood mage build. That's why it has no resistances. But I think it will be easier for me to build if this has resistances. But yeah, that's why it's extra difficult for me. But yeah, it has life, then 100% sakit, and then it has rarity as well. But you may want extra resistances to have easier build. You just slotted 3 chase runes for the movement speed. Then I'm just using Headhunter, so just to have easier. But if you don't because there's a random teleportation. Although we're not dying with those, but others it's bothersome because you will need to go back if you need to pick up, and it's just spamming teleport sometimes. You can use different belts that has resistances, so it will be easier to build. So yeah, I'm using the Towering Charm for the immunity of freeze. Then rite of passage for using Spirit of the Primate. Because I think the Spirit of Primate gives the synergies to cold builds as well and freeze build up. Although you can use the Spirit of the Bear for extra max life. Or if you want movement speed, I think Spirit of the Primate is the cheapest one. And then just Amethyst Charm for extra chaos resistance. Yeah. Another good tip that I use with Rite of Passage is why if you're using bosses, right? Xesht or King of Mist or Kulimak, because it's guaranteed to hit the extra 400% rarity, if I'm not mistaken, to proc this rite of passage. So yeah. Sorry if I'm not concise with the explanation and it goes left to right, but yeah. So what else? For the skill tree, as I mentioned, the nodes here are this one, mind over matter, because we are having so many mana from the intelligence. So why not make it as an extra layer of life? Because we have also the mana remnants, remember? That's why it also replenish pretty fast. Then the next one is the Zealot's Oath, because your excess life recovery applies to energy shield. So in scenario, all these three, your life, your shield, and mana is your total life pool. And that's why you are on top of those 75 resistances. You're nearly unkillable. So for the ascendancy, you need the spell damage as life, and just to add the hit chance. And for the other nodes, I'm just stacking critical hit chances. And then another node that need this is of course the Tenkerod Jewel. You need the tribute attack rod for the sacrifice of blood. And you don't need necessary though, that's just an extra stat. The conquered for 7 stat. For my other jewels, because I want 100%, I just pick up the increased critical chance max. So all my jewels, then just put spell damage, golds, and spell. That's the rest of all my jewels. So yeah, I
Have
think
an
I
order?
will
Well,
post
gosh, trademark, but don't worry. All the
other
best.
test videos because I already uploaded the Xesht one. So yeah, if you have questions or corrections to what I said, just comment down it below. Thank you.